College basketball is back in downtown Kansas City. Thousands of fans will fill the seats of T-Mobile Center for the Big 12 basketball championship, where the Kansas Jayhawks are seeking their 12th conference tournament title. Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, March 7th. I'm Jessica Lovell, and welcome to the Morning Medical Update. Today, we are learning about this first of its kind partnership between KU Athletics, the University of Kansas Health System, and L.M.H Health that is keeping student athletes healthy on the court, in the gym, on the field, and pretty much everywhere else. That partnership is officially called Kansas Team Health. Today we are talking with the leaders of the program. But before we get to them and meet all of them, let's go live to Alan Van Zandt at T-Mobile Center, where the Kansas Jayhawks have the #1 seed in this week's tournament. Alan, good morning. Nice to see you.
Hi, good morning, Alexis. Things a little quiet here this morning here at the T-Mobile Center, but the pace will pick up quite frenetically starting tomorrow with the start of the Big 12 men's basketball conference tournament here. 2 games tomorrow, and then things really get going on Thursday with four games. You had mentioned the University of Kansas. They're the top seed in the tournament. They will play Thursday afternoon against the winner of West Virginia and Texas Tech that play tomorrow night. So you might ask why we are here at the T-Mobile Center. Well, that's a good question. I'm going to come this way around here with videographer Cliff, because we have our own primary care and urgent care center here at the University of Kansas Health System. I'm here with Dr. Hope Ring here. You are the physician here. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Good morning. Thanks for coming.
You bet. It has to be interesting, I guess, and fun to have a primary care and urgent care center right here within the T-Mobile Center.
I think it's great. You know, if there are issues with the primary care, it could easily send a patient over to urgent care. We coordinate with them. So it's amazing that we have that ability.
So you see patients here on a daily basis. They come right in the T-Mobile Center, but also for special events, that it's nice to know that we have such qualified physicians and staff here like you here to care for fans and others who come for special events here.
Yes, thank you. And the emergency department has recently taken over the urgent care services, so we are able to coordinate care very well, bringing some of the expertise from the emergency department to the urgent care services, and also coordinate with primary care. So great all around.
So you're ready to go for a big conference tournament here these next few days?
We are excited for University of Kansas. So yes, excited all around.
You bet. Dr. Hope Ring, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, again, the tournament starts tomorrow here with 2 games and then 4 on Thursday, including the University of Kansas as the top seed. Alexis, we'll turn her back to you here from the T-Mobile Center.
All right, Alan, it's Jess today. I'm back.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Hello, Jess. How are you? I hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, that's okay. I know. We're kind of interchangeable, Alexis and myself, so it's okay. No problem. I didn't mean to surprise you this morning, but I am back. So good to see you. And what an exciting place to be right there, you know, where all the action's going to be, you know, just days away.
Like we were talking with Dr. Ring here, it is just so unique to have this opportunity and to be able to provide such high care and service to patients as well as fans who come here for the events.
Well, great. Thank you, Alan. Good to see you this morning. Talk to you soon.
And good to see you also, Jess.
Thanks, Alan. Appreciate it. Well, with me today are the leaders of Kansas Team Health, a unique partnership providing top-notch health care to Jayhawk student athletes, and this is regardless of the sport. Joining me here in studio, so glad to have Brian Conway, the Senior Administrator of Kansas Team Health. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for kind of co-piloting this topic with us today, so good to have you. Joining us virtually is the head primary care team physician, Dr. Jared Harrell, and head team orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Jeff Randall. Doctors, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you both. So, Brian, Kansas Team Health, fairly new, started in 2019. So tell us a little bit about that. What changed in healthcare for these students?
Well, it changed the reporting relationships of the healthcare providers within the athletic department. And just as importantly, I think it brought together a leading academic medical center, a great local hospital, and Kansas Athletics, that the partnership put the student athletes' health and wellness as its first priority.
And is that something you're a sports guy? You came from Texas, you know, Big 12 schools. You know, how unique is this from your perspective?
Very unique. KU is one of the first schools in the country to go to this model. There's a lot of schools now trying to replicate the models, but it's very neat and exciting to be on the ground floor of trying to create this.
Dr. Harrell, from your perspective, how does Kansas Team Health compare to a typical athletic department? Kind of like what we were talking about, just from what you've seen to where we are being that model.
Yeah, so it starts with the independent medical model, you know, where we're as the providers comprehensively for the athletic department, we are independent, meaning, you know, traditional platforms you may be employed by the athletic department, which essentially makes, you know, sports administrators or coaches potentially your bosses. And so, you know, the idea behind the independent medical model is that we need to make the decisions that's best in the student athlete's interests and safety and wellness. And so we know that when there's a decision to be made, that's free of any repercussions. That there's not going to be, you know, input or stress on us if the best player on the team, for instance, really shouldn't go back out there, and it may mean the difference between a perceived win or loss. That we know confidently and have the support that we can make that decision that's in the best interest of student athlete. The other thing about this program is we have such a large multidisciplinary collaborative team that work under one umbrella. A lot of programs, you know, you may consult out or you may have different groups participating in the care of the athlete. But in this model, we've got oversight with Dr. Randall and myself to ensure that those collaborators are working within the team, again, for the best interest of the athlete, which is really important. And then as as Brian Conway mentioned, you know, we have involvement with all forms of our providers, which include nutrition and mental health. And so I think tying all that together brings the potential of an amazing care model for our athletes.
Sure does. Dr. Randall, jump in. How has the KTH partnership been going so far?
I think it's been going well, and I think you can see the success and how this has spread to the community now. If you look back a decade ago, 10, 12 years ago, in the professional ranks and college ranks, sports medicine was really an agreement between individual physicians or providers and teams or universities. Now what you're seeing, and you can see it with our affiliation with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Kansas City Royals, is these affiliations are going into bigger health systems now, which gives you just a tremendous amount of resource. The Kansas Team Health Alliance that really combined two systems, the local system in Douglas County, where I live and work, with Lawrence Memorial Hospital and L.M.H. Health, coming together with Kansas Team Health in a partnership with University of Kansas Health System, has created this model that's been a big success for us at KU, and now that's kind of spilled over into the community and you've seen the recent launch of this strategic alliance with L.M.H. Health and the University of Kansas Health System. We're now taking kind of the model that we've been using in the athletic department for the past few years and now being able to provide those resources throughout the community of Lawrence.
Well, KU basketball, as we know, has been good for decades. The men's team won the national championship last year. Brian, just what's it like to work at this elite level with this particular team here in this area?
Well, it's wonderful. You know, my background is in athletics, and
tell us a little bit about that, by the way.
Well, I'm an athletic trainer by trade.
Okay.
I've been an administrator a while, so you might not want me to take care of you right now, but that's my background. Coming and seeing the excellence not only of the basketball program, but all the other athletic programs within KU is exciting, and the quality of the student athletes, the quality of the coaches to be around is inspiring.
I bet. Dr. Harrell, what's it like traveling for NCAA tournament? What's it like? I know you're working. How much fun are you able to have?
A lot. It's a lot of fun. You're right there with the team. You're in team meetings, seeing pregame planning, all the work that goes into it, all the stuff they do in the training room and the work before. And so the enjoyment of watching your athletes go out and compete, and knowing what they put into it and seeing them succeed is incredible. And then we get to go to great places, great venues, see great cities, be around a bunch of great people. It's not a bad gig.
It sounds like it. Dr. Randall, same question to you. I know you're working hard, but able to relax a little bit and enjoy?
Absolutely. It's obviously the best time of year, so everybody's kind of on edge a little bit work-wise with just making sure everybody's healthy and ready to go. But as Dr. Harrell said, it's a unique, humbling experience to get to participate, but it really is a lot of fun too.
And Dr. Randall, you're the ortho expert, all things muscles and ligaments. What are some of the common basketball injuries that you're looking for this time of year?
Basketball, Jess, is a unique sport because it has so much jumping and landing on a hard surface. If you look at football, which is a collision sport, or baseball, soccer, anything else, there's really not another sport you can think of with that repetitive jumping and landing on a hard surface. And so this time of year with a long season, there's a lot of overuse injuries all the way up to the entire body just from the impact. And so you start working to balance rest and participation so people can be at their peak performance. And then, specific injuries, if you watch basketball, you see people turn ankles. It's If you land on that hard surface, sometimes you land on somebody else's foot, and inevitably the ankle turns. And at this time of year, you put the whole sports medical team together to keep people going. And our guys and our women at KU2 are both great at powering through this stuff.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how, men and women treated equal, or and by the way, I went to a couple of women's basketball games this year. It was so fun to watch. Really enjoyed cheering on the ladies. Are you looking for different injuries? Are men, women prone to different types of injuries in all sorts of different sports?
It's actually gotten more and more similar. If you watch the women's game and the men's game, they really look a lot more alike today than they do differently. I mean, it's very similar. It's the same thing with women. It's really the repetitive force landing on a hard court after running up and down, jumping and landing.
Yeah, young men and women, but they're still taking a beating and have to rest those bodies. Brian, we know that sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. Casual fans might not understand all that goes into this, but what else does Kansas Team Health do?
Yeah, great question. I think you see, whether you're watching a Jayhawk football game or basketball game, you see someone get hurt, and you see the athletic trainers run out, and you see the physicians run out, but there's a lot of folks behind the scenes that help get that student athlete ready to participate. And then if they're injured back, we have within Kansas Team Health, we have mental health professionals, we have strength coaches, we have sports dietitians that all work behind the scenes to help the athlete perform at their best.
And mental health, I mean, we can't talk about mental health enough because it really starts there. So anybody can jump in on this, but sports psychology, bigger than ever, as we know, that's starting to become front and center where it should be. What kind of help are student athletes able to get? What kind of resources are there?
I don't know, Dr. Harrell, you might be the best one to answer that.
Yeah, so it starts with the day they get here. So we have an emphasis on identifying screening from the word go, and then once we've if we've identified any issues or concerns, the first step is awareness, just to kind of let them know why those things may be important both for their mental health as well as and wellness, but also even potentially performance. In addition to that, we have, on the ground, we have 2 licensed clinical social workers where we do a significant amount of counseling with the athletes here internally. Those providers are out and about, engaging with athletes at practice and in the training room, and again, sort of trying to break that stigma that we all talk about. We have a psychiatrist that Dr. Kloss with University of Kansas Health System who comes out and sees our athletes in the training room. She's amazing in her willingness to be available pretty much any of the time. And so it's really that full spectrum of not just identifying when somebody may have a significant mental health issue, but also the wellness part, and really collaborating with all those folks to get people to perform and achieve the goals that they set out.
Brian, dare I say you've been doing this a really long time.
So you're saying I'm old?
Never. You're just seasoned, and you're our expert extraordinaire. So, but talk about when you first got into this and then where we are now when it comes to caring for the whole athlete, not just pushing them back out there physically, but also mentally. I mean, what have you seen over those decades?
Well, I've seen a lot. When we first started out, I was at a high school in Texas, and, really just as an athletic trainer, you're just kind of patching in and putting them out. And over the years, whether it's concussion care or rehabilitation or recognizing the mental aspects that these athletes go through has changed just considerably. And the resources that are available now to take care of these athletes, everything's out there, and within our partnership we have the support, whether it's Dr. Beaver, who helps us with cardiology, or Dr. Rippey, who may help us with a tough concussion. We have the resources to give the high quality of care, where in the past I think at the time we thought we were taking care of that concussion. Yeah, their symptoms have gone away, so yeah, you can go in the second half of the game, and those type of things. So we've come leaps and bounds from where we were.
You know better, you do better over time, right? Because you're learning right along with it. But now we've birthed this new generation of athletes that expect more. They take care of themselves, their mental health, their physical health. They're able to communicate. It's easier to communicate, I would imagine, with all these doctors and say, hey, don't feel right.
And I think the doctor piece is important. We have specialists like Dr. Randall, Dr. Harrell, who specialize in sports medicine. Back then we were dealing with general practitioners and folks that, orthopedic surgeons that weren't necessarily specialists in sports medicine. So having Dr. Randall and Dr. Harrell and the rest of our physicians at our fingertips just elevates the care that our athletes receive.
Absolutely. Hey, docs, real quick, it's really tough to get young kids, college kids to eat right. What are the expectations there? How do you make sure these kids are getting good nutrition, or these young men and women?
So we have a great nutrition team and program. So, it really starts again with education, and it's not necessarily about identifying every last calorie or every last thing that you're taking in. It's more about what are our goals for recovery. What are our goals pre-competition? Those are different, and how can we provide the best resources and information all about the education. Our nutrition team does things like grocery store tours, where they go around with the athletes and actually walk around the grocery store with them and show them how to shop and what to look for, and things not just label reading, but also how to throw together amazing recipes that they can cook. They do cooking classes. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. I think the most important thing is just understanding the aspects of fueling, pre-post competition, what are their individual goals, and then they just go from there.
Okay, late night pizza runs are not totally off the menu?
No, those are fine after the game, no problem.
Okay, but they are necessary sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That is the college experience. Okay, so if you have questions for these gentlemen about Kansas Team Health and the health care provided to Jayhawks student athletes, send them into YouTube, Facebook, and the Medical News Network. You can find links to all those right there on your screen. Let's get a quick check on our COVID count. Dr. Dana Hawkinson joins us, Medical Director of Infection Prevention and Control. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, and it was almost 3 years ago, this week that obviously the Big 12 tournament was canceled because of COVID. So it's a lot of memories that are being rehashed right now for sure. But I think on a good note as well, our active cases in the hospital are decreased as well. So 43 active, 43 total with 20 active. That's down from the mid-20s. 3 in the ICU and 1 on the ventilator. So things are looking better as far as that goes.
Okay, so new numbers are showing brain fog can linger up to a year in older COVID patients. The study in the journal Alzheimer's and Dementia looked at patients 50 years and older who needed to be hospitalized for COVID. It found 3 main outcomes. Most patients had no brain fog after 1 month. 20% had it last just a few months, but 10% had brain fog lasting for a year or more. What are your thoughts on that? What could that mean?
Yeah, and I think, number one, hopefully acute cases or acute severe cases are overall going down. But what we can see, and what we've talked about both in younger patients and also the elderly population, is the lingering symptoms, the long COVID. So for most part, the data support the fact that a lot of the long COVID symptoms will be gone by 6 months to a year. But certainly this is one of those data points that says, you can have it up to a year, and it does affect people's quality of life in their daily life. And so moving forward, long COVID will continue to be an issue. Hopefully most people will get to resolve that, especially within the 6 months to a year after that infection. But we know that some people are still going to be affected by it overall. I was just looking at a preprint article today. We're still trying to elucidate and look at the mechanisms for which these long COVID symptoms occur, specifically if we're talking about in the brain or something of that nature. Looks like maybe there is some component of a continued inflammatory response as well. So we know the NIH has proposed money and research to go to this. We are looking at ways to help reduce those symptoms, not just for headache, but for all of those symptoms that people may have from long COVID.
Doc Hawk, thanks so much. Any reporters with us today? Let's get to our viewers. A few questions this morning. Bruce wants to know any advice for middle or high schoolers wanting to improve their chances of playing at the college level. Who wants to grab that one? What's the best advice?
That, Jess. That's
okay.
something that's something we've looked into, Jess, through like sports specialization, those sort of things. Is that an advantage? Is that a disadvantage? Burnout? I think the bottom line is have fun. College athletics is a grind, and to get there and stay there is a grind. And I think that when athletes have fun and they enjoy it and they enjoy the process, they do well. So I think on an individual basis, for each particular athlete, whether you specialize in one sport or you play multiple sports, as long as you're having fun, you're going to be more successful.
That is the key. Ann has a comment. Kansas Team Health, what a great concept for care for the whole athlete. Sean wants to know, how many sports does KU compete in, and how many student athletes are there at KU? Can we run some numbers?
Yeah, I can give you 16 total sports,
Okay.
Approximately 500 student athletes.
And all have access to Kansas Team Health?
All have access to Kansas Team Health.
That's right. Okay, it's basketball season, but it's 365 all year round. Ollie wants to know, if a hospital doctor recommends one thing, how do you know the athletics team will actually listen and follow doctor's orders? What about any conflict of interest with what you're hearing one place where you're hearing another? How do you sort through all that?
Well, I think that goes partially the independent medical model we talked about, that, if we you mentioned that coaches have input. We're obviously, we want to talk to the coaches, and we want to hear what they're seeing, what their concerns are. And that's can be really helpful for us. They're with the athletes every day, all the time, and so it's not to suggest that there isn't a collaboration there, but at the end of the day, we're very fortunate that our goal really is to sit down with the athlete and explain the rationale for what we're doing, and then define out what sort of metrics or program we put in place to get them back as soon as possible. And honestly, that is pretty simple to do and execute in this environment.
Two more questions. One from Georgianne that I'm going to have Dr. Hawkinson answer tomorrow. So Georgianne, we'll see you then. And then Joellen has a last question I'm going to give out, and I really like this. Since college athletes are no longer minors, how does this affect the confidential relationship between doctors, athletes, and parents? When are you bringing parents in for these kids who are over the age of 18? Or are you?
Dr. Harrell, you want to try?
Sure. Yeah. So there is an important component there when you're dealing with with young adults, and we obviously need to recognize what the privacy laws and requirements are. And so essentially we talk to the athlete. If a parent wants to talk to us, we ensure that that we let the athlete know that their parents are wanting to talk. Usually, and honestly, it's very organic. Most of the athletes just put their parents on speakerphone, and we have that conversation and encourage them, if for whatever reason that can't happen, to just essentially grant us the ability to have that conversation in a way that their parents often are a long ways away and really care, and they want to open those lines, and so we do our best to facilitate that, and I think our athletic trainers do an amazing job of ensuring all those I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Let's get final thoughts from our guest today. Great conversation, so much to learn about here during this really exciting week. And Dr. Harrell, I'll start with you.
Well, thanks for having us today. I think the topic of the day, I suppose, is the reason is March Madness, and I know we're all looking forward to that. We've got two great teams going in Kansas City this weekend on both the men's and women's side. So encourage everybody to get out there and know just how hard these athletes work, and how much your support means to them. I'm really looking forward to it. And I guess from a medical advice standpoint, I do my piece there. We would always encourage people from a mental wellness and health standpoint. Get moving, set reasonable goals, and have fun.
Dr. Randall, final thoughts.
I would just say that obviously this is the best time of year, and I really think that, to me, the Big 12 tournament's probably the most fun of the entire year. The NCAA tournament's a blast, especially when you win that last game, but it's also a lot of pressure. It's a one-and-done situation. The Big 12 tournament that's happening this weekend focuses on bringing all these fan bases together. There's going to be another game, even if you lose this. It's not all over, but just having everybody in one place, nobody does this better than Kansas City. I've been to every Big 12 tournament, Oklahoma City, Dallas. Nobody does it better than Kansas City, and it's just because the fans turn out and the fans stay. And you'll see a lot of schools. I'll think of Oklahoma State, Iowa State, for example. Their fan bases, if they don't win, they stay. They adopt another team. They cheer. So whether you have tickets, don't have tickets, get down to the T-Mobile Center and the Power and Light. We want to keep this in Kansas City, and it's the best venue out there.
Yeah, it's like nothing else. Docs, thanks so much for being with us this morning and all you do for all of our student athletes. Brian, great to have you with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Good to meet you and learn more about you. Final thoughts, and are you rested up and ready?
I'm rested up and ready, but final thoughts. This partnership works because of our team physicians, our employees who do an amazing job every day working with these student athletes, and the support of the health system, L.M.H. Health and Athletics. There's a group of people that work hard to put the student athlete first, and their health and wellness first, and it works because we have great people in all those areas.
Thank you for being with us and all you do as well. All right, Dr. Hawkinson, you're not on call this weekend or anything, are you? You're free and clear?
No, free. Couple weeks from now I will be. But I think this is good. You know, we continue to take those little steps towards those pre-pandemic times, which is good for everybody mentally, emotionally. This is just one more of those steps, and I think in the next couple days here we'll have more steps that are just going to be things that seem like we are getting back to those pre-pandemic times, which is a lot better for everybody.
Yeah, that 3-year anniversary coming up very quick here in just a few days. Thanks so much to all of our guests and to all of our viewers for being with us today. Have a great one, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 8. A young cancer patient is back from Great Britain. Alex Goodwin's survival story reached halfway around the world. I'm Jessica Lovell on the next Open Mics with Dr. Stites. What happens next when Alex's body outgrows his implant? The latest update on Alex's journey, Wednesday at 8.
Subscribe to our morning medical update and Open Mics with Dr. Stites podcast. Now, everywhere podcasts are available.